On this edition of Cogeco News, the results are in from Castleholm. Dealing with funeral services during a pandemic, Jamie Bull, training only. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Monday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Estabrooks. Castleholm staff and residents were tested for the COVID-19 virus on Friday through the weekend. Over 500 tests were administered, which produced one positive result. Clark Heipel has the latest.
Well over 500 people, both staff and residents of Castleholm, underwent COVID-19 testing over the weekend to comply with a provincial mandate. Out of those hundreds upon hundreds of tests, one test result came back positive for the coronavirus, that test belonging to a resident of the long-term care home.
It was from our secure unit. The good news is that in that particular unit, there isn't a lot of mingling with the rest of the population at Castleholm, and the even better news is that the roommate, which is very in close proximity, has tested negative as well. They've both been put into an isolation as a precaution, as an extra precaution. And in that particular unit, which we set up a number of weeks ago, there's dedicated staff that are only on that staff. They take their break in that unit. They, all their meds are there, their supplies are there. There's a shower for them, and so they come in the building, go right to that unit, put on their equipment. And when they stay there all day and then come back. So there really is limiting the amount of exposure.
Early on in the pandemic, the availability of testing was under scrutiny. While testing has ramped up in our area, there have been delays to receive results. That's certainly not the case at Castleholm over the weekend.
I can tell you the testing was Friday. People were getting their results Saturday night. So it seems to us that there has been a great improvement as far as the results coming back.
With just one positive result for the coronavirus at Castleholm, an outbreak has been declared.
Based on the province's definition, one case represents an outbreak. So in those terms, the entire home is in an outbreak. The resident and actually the roommate have been put on isolation. Extra precaution, as you can see, throughout the home, everyone's wearing personal protective equipment.
Now we'll take a look at the COVID-19 numbers for the catchment area of the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit. One positive, we just covered that in the previous story, that at Castleholm, 2 people right now are in self-isolation, so 18 positives. And as you can see, 550 tests were administered, a big boost, by far the most tests over one period. That was over the weekend. The Ontario government continues to offer assistance, financial aid, to provincial residents. Today being day one of the loosened restrictions, although they are very minor in regards to what has been loosened up. Vic Fidelli joins us via Skype to talk more.
Well, I think people are pleased, especially the business community. It sends a signal. It's not really, we're not in stage one. Last week we announced there'd be 3 stages, and then we announced the sector by sector Minister of Labor's announcement. And then on Friday we announced the kind of, I call it a pre-stage, that, we're looking at lawn care, marinas and golf, but not for customers, only for prep. But that's a signal that we're coming. The signal that we also sent to the automotive sector that they could start manufacturing again, which they could do at any time, by the way, was that we're allowing car dealers to be open by appointment. So that sends a signal that the retail chain is there for them. So, it's very strong signals that we're very, very close to opening up the economy in a very measured way, I would say.
So what's the time frame for the official rollout for stage one? Has that been set, or is it still kind of floating out there?
It's in the hands of the COVID-19 data yet. As soon as we are comfortable that the data is showing a marked decrease for so many days in terms of the number of cases, then we'll be ready to make an announcement of a stage one, which would mean retail at curbside only, and maybe the opening of some other sectors, more outdoor activity, larger gatherings, those types of things.
A lot of people were concerned, Vic, about prescription fees when you have to go monthly now because you were only allowed to get prescriptions 1 month at a time. And that's an issue that your government had to deal with, and has it dealt with it?
Yes, we've dealt successfully with that. As you know, we were concerned about the supply of drugs. So from a 90-day allowance in a prescription, we cut it back to 30 days, which meant you'd have to pay the dispensing fee each time. So what we're doing now is the people only pay for the first one. The government of Ontario pays for the second one, and the pharmacy picks up the cost of the third one, so that we spread it over the three of us, so that an individual will still get 90 days of their prescriptions for their cost of only 30 days.
And last, and certainly not least, Mr. Fedeli, the Premier has weighed in on the inequity of gas prices in Northern Ontario compared to Southern Ontario. He did mention Minister Rickford, didn't mention Minister Fedeli in his comments, but I'm assuming that deals with all of Northern Ontario.
Yes, we continue to bring this to the Premier, and he continues to look at how a government, and how, if and when and how a government could play a role in seeing that there's equity in these prices across Ontario. So continues to look at that issue, as do we all.
New gun laws are coming, and they are going to cause, and already are causing, a big split in the way people view them. Canadians perceive this in a very different way, two different ways, really. Joining us via Skype to talk about COVID-19 and the new gun law is Nipissing-Temiskaming MP Anthony Rota. Testing has always been talked about, and ramping up testing. Canada has tested, I believe, a little less than 1 million people. Is it necessary and essential to up those numbers, testing numbers, quickly?
Well, I think testing gives us an idea of how many people are actually infected, and it gives an idea of where we're going. So it's almost like sampling when you're doing some polling or statistics. You want to know where we're going, whether we're going up or down. And for individuals who feel like they've been infected, it's not a bad thing to be tested and find out whether they are or not.
Moving away from COVID-19, a major gun law was changed by the federal government on Friday. It's a very divisive issue. There's a lot of chatter on social media, both for and against banning guns, especially obviously assault-style guns. What is your answer to those who think this is too draconian by the government?
Well, this was a promise that was made by the Prime Minister during the election, and they're actually putting it in. And I know Bill Blair has been putting a lot of time into this ever since the last election, and even prior to this, where he's been looking at different options, consulting people. And this is something that was promised, something that they're coming up with. And again, it applies to military-style rifles, and there's about 1,500 different styles that they've applied it to. One of the things to look at is the concern is by gun owners, and gun owners in general are very honest, very straightforward people. They've got their guns registered. They do everything by the law. What they're looking at, what this law is looking at, is it's a military, basically a gun that was issued by the military that they're using. Not for hunting, because you can't use it for hunting, but most of them have been restricted. And the one thing to look at is the magazine that goes into it. A lot of them have a pin put in so that it restricts the number of shells in there to 5. That can easily be removed or modified, and automatically it becomes a 30 magazine shell, which is a 30 shell magazine, which is something that a lot of people have some concerns about. And on the calls coming in, I've been getting a lot of calls on both sides. I'd have to say mostly in favor of eliminating, and some by hunters who are saying, look, I have a gun, I have a semi-automatic gun, but it doesn't hold the big clips, and those are overkill. So it's one of those things that I don't think there's a winning side on this. It's just something that comes out, and there's those who want to see us have absolutely no rules with firearms, and those who want to eliminate all firearms.
Well, everything is different, obviously, in the time of COVID-19, and that includes the day-to-day operations of funeral homes. Hillside is one of North Bay's long-standing funeral homes, and they have adjusted their operations in the last 2 months. As the pandemic evolved, rules for funeral homes also evolved.
We're able to have services for 50 people or less being present. And as things got worse, then the bereavement authority reduced it to 10 people or less. So we've been having more or less family-only private services as a result. We are still having services, yeah. We've had 2 or 3 last week, and they're all just family.
Celebrations of life and funeral services, obviously very emotional for friends and family. Very different now.
Things are really extenuating. You know, I had one particular family that the son came in from the States, and of course he couldn't go into the nursing home to see his mom, so he had to stand outside the window to say goodbye when she passed away, and that was really heart-wrenching. So he did come in here with his father, and it was 4 or 5 of them had the gathering and was able to have that ceremony to say goodbye. You need closure. So we've had many services put off till spring, or I say spring, for when the COVID is lifted, the restrictions are lifted. They're waiting to come in and have that service, that ceremony, for them to have a healthy grieving process.
The number of those grieving may be smaller, but the services still have to go on.
The burial has to occur now quicker, even weekends if need be. We have been told that for services themselves now, again, it's 10 people or less. That includes the celebrant, but not funeral home staff.
And since the advent of COVID-19, the staff has been changing some of its regular duties.
We are disinfecting our door handles, our phone sets, wherever people touch. 3 times a day, we come in the morning, and we have the antiviral cloths, and we wipe everything down. We are very, very cautious.
May the 4th has a few symbolic meanings attached to it. One will be mentioned later. Today, though, May the 4th, also International Firefighters Day. Over 150,000 firefighters in this country, and firefighters remind you that smoke alarms and CO alarms save lives. Congratulations to the firefighters. Much more Cogeco news when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Mother's Day is approaching, and the Nipissing Serenity Hospice is pressing ahead with a salute to that very important day and those that are saluted on that day. The hospice is partnered with both Twigs and Laporte's Nursery to offer a very unique gift package or packages for mom.
We were looking at something that was COVID friendly to do. So in partnership with Twigs and Laporte's, we came up with an idea for a Mother's Day event where we could offer some sweets and a plant, because women love sweets and plants, and that we could do right here at the hospice. And it'll be non-touch. We can just have people drive by the vestibule and we'll be able to hand them their items. People can go online and pay, so they don't have to worry about cash or anything. And we'll keep a list and then just have them come and pick it up.
As of this Monday, folks have 3 days left to order one of the gift packages that will be ready to be picked up this Saturday from the hospice front doors on John Street between 10 and 3. These Mother's Day gift packages serve as a fundraiser for the hospice, as this past Sunday would have been the Hike for Hospice, an event that has raised upwards of $100,000 each year.
Because of COVID, we don't know what else we're going to have to postpone. We're not able to go out in the community and make presentations. So this is a way for people to keep the hospice top of mind and help with some donations, because we are, like everybody else, we're desperate for donations again. And it's a really good way to support the hospice and 2 local businesses. There are 5 different packages to choose from, and they pay online via PayPal with their credit card, and also on our Facebook page there's all kinds of information as well. So we're asking people to please share it with your family and friends.
That website is nipissingserenityhospice.ca/shop.
We're off to a break. When we come back, Mr. Heupel has a May 4th weather update and more after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heupel here down near Centennial Park and Callender. I'm here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College, and also here to say May the 4th be with you. Now, full disclosure, I am not a big Star Wars guy. However, I know that many people in the community are. Liam, I'm talking about you, and many others that love Star Wars. So there, I said it. May the 4th be with you. Moving on, we have a cool week in store, some very cold overnight lows. However, daytime temperatures will be somewhat normal, and we will have sun to look forward to make it feel a little bit warmer than the mercury. So all in all, not that bad, just a bit colder than normal. Let's take a look at the 5-day forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Heading overnight on this Monday night, a clear, cold low, -8, wind chill -11, wind gusting to 40. On Tuesday, sunny skies to look forward to. However, it will take a while to warm up. We're going to have a high of 9 with sun and a cold low of -4 overnight Tuesday night with the skies remaining clear. Wind chill on Tuesday morning, cold, -14. I have to bike to work tomorrow. That is going to be nasty. On Wednesday, the 6th of May, no Star Wars references there, thankfully. Mix of sun and cloud, high 12. And overnight Wednesday night, 0 for the low, and the clouds move in Wednesday night. On Thursday, cloud cover with some sun poking through, high 7, low 4 below. And Friday, May the 8th, clouds to look forward to, high 4 above, low 6 below. Turning the page back to the almanac, Sunday was An interesting day. The sun was out in the morning and then it got fairly miserable. High 12 above, low was 1 above. And the normals for this time of May, 15 is a normal high, 4 is a normal low, both above freezing. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather forecast. Do stay tuned. Greg Esterbrooks will have your sports right after this. And he's doing weather tomorrow. Perhaps he'll say, Revenge of the 5th. We'll have to wait and see. 2 days of Star Wars. Sports is next.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Not a fun time if you're a sports fan, and not a fun time if you're an athlete. North Bay's Jamie Bull, one of the best water ski competitors on the planet. Bull, though, is just like every other athlete these days, training only. She doesn't know when she will get to compete again, and Jamie Bull joins us via Zoom.
This year's been pretty different for sure. I actually came back. I'm in North Bay now, so I returned from Louisiana, and I'm doing online university like most of the Canadian students. So I'll finish university semester in about a week. I finish on May 8th. So once that's over, then things will be a little easier with training. But right now, I'm just sticking to gym training and dry land stuff between mountain biking and running, and then being in with weights and working with a gym from Louisiana. And then I'm actually got back on the water a couple days ago when the ice got off. So it'll be a bit of a different season, but we're making do.
Have you been training via the internet in regards to talking to your coaches from obviously using a computer? Are you getting specific guidelines from them about training, or do you kind of know what you need to do?
In terms of skiing, since the ice just came off, I haven't been back in the course. So that's just kind of working on getting my muscles back prepared. So I haven't spoken to my on-water coach too extensively, but in terms of in the gym, I'm following a program, so I get sent that every day and following that, and then kind of depending on how I feel or what I want to do, I know how to add stuff to my program each day.
What events have been canceled to this point, and have you been given any indication when you can actually start competing again?
We have not. So all of the events through the spring have been canceled. Everything through the summer has been canceled as well. And at this time, like most things, people don't really know when we'll be able to return to kind of normal season. So they have spoken about pushing the events into the fall, and there have been some events have actually rescheduled dates, but we won't know if those are actually going to be a go until we get closer and see what's happening in the world.
I know you've always had a good attitude and you've always been a pretty positive person, but you've geared your whole life to becoming the best at a certain sport, and now it's been put on hold. How do you try to rein all in the emotions of not being able to do what you love?
I mean, I think one thing for sure is I'm still in a lot better position than a lot of other people, you know. Absolutely, I'm upset about my season being canceled, and I would rather be on the water and have normal life. But at the same time, um, I'm healthy. I'm not sick. I'm not a frontline worker who's putting their life at risk every day or their kids' life at risks. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good position, and then I'm going to try and just use this season. Without the tournaments, it's going to make training a little different, but it may end up allowing for different type of training. I'm not going to have to be ready every weekend for an event. So I may actually improve as a skier a lot more this year. And hopefully then once we're ready for tournaments, I can get back and be better than ever.
Thank you, Jamie Bull, for that. Let's discuss a couple of quick notes before we go. On the weekend, the police had a special salute, a very small one because of COVID-19, out in front of police headquarters to salute fallen officers in Ontario. 267 have passed away. We'll have more on this story on Tuesday's edition of Cogeco News. And of course, 2 have passed away on duty in North Bay in the last 120 years. Moving on to the fire department, earlier in the newscast we told you it was International Firefighters Day, and the firefighters from North Bay posted a little picture of the guys saying, keep fighting the good fight. Of course, that means a lot of different things these days because of what's going on with COVID-19. But again, a salute to the fire guys at all 3 stations in the city of North Bay on this Monday. COVID resources, in case you need to know. Canada.ca, COVID-19, Ontario.ca/coronavirus, Telehealth Ontario, 1-866-797-0000, and myhealthunit.ca. Mr. Heupel will be in the big chair on Tuesday for Cogeco News. That is it for the newscast for this Monday. Thanks so much for joining us. Please remember that everything you see here on Cogeco News, your TV, remains truly local. Good night.